Gastrointestinal cancers, sometimes are the cancers that people don't really speak about as often. And so we felt it was, very important to be able to speak directly with our patient communities, representing all of the gastrointestinal cancers, to understand, what they're going through, what are their unmet needs, where are gaps in services, um, and supportive needs, so that as the GI Cancers Alliance, we can work with our patient communities and really understand what they're going through on a daily basis, and then work with our partners to make a difference, to either provide programming or educational initiatives, projects, campaigns, et cetera, that will help meet those needs for our patients. So I've been personally in the patient advocacy space almost 40 years, so a long time. And, I know firsthand the importance of, listening to the patient and the caregiver as well, as a team. And also really trying to understand as best we can that patient lived experience, because I think, if we all work together from the patient to the clinician to pharmaceutical, we can make a difference. We can understand what the patient is going through on a daily basis. So this was really the, foundation for our study. It was a year-long study because we really wanted to take our time to go into communities, all across the country, and actually globally as well, to understand, what are those needs? How do they differ, say, from New York City to maybe rural areas, and get a feel, get a pulse, for what our patients are going through. So, very proud of our study. And we also wanted to make sure we met patients where they were, so that some individuals may not like an online survey, which I understand. Other patients may want to speak, in a group setting. So we also had focus groups. And then other patients, are a little bit more private. So we were able to have private interviews, personal interviews, and we tried to accommodate individuals, like I said, to meet them where they were so they would feel comfortable. And I think to me, one of the most exciting things was that, for example, if we had a focus group and we had maybe 10 or 15 individuals in a group, I would always say at the end, if you have other things to add, please don't hesitate, get in touch with us. And the vast majority of patients did that. And they were like, we were thinking and we wanted to add this, or we wanted to make sure you had this quote, or, this thought. And I that was really great because it showed they were very engaged in the process and wanted to make sure their voices were heard. So, like I said, we had the 12-month study, and we all across the country made sure that we could get as many insights as possible from all the different gastric cancers. With the overarching themes of unmet need, it was eye-opening. There were some that we said, not that we were expecting, but, that we have heard, from our patient populations. One thing I thought that was really important, that patients felt the level of testing, say for biomarkers, for example, for precision oncology, it was not standard across communities, across disease states, and definitely not a standard protocol, for different areas of our country. So that was very eye-opening. And I think for those of us that, work with patients every day, we understand the importance of testing, because, that could rule out a possible treatment that wouldn't be appropriate for a patient. And if they don't have their testing, they may go through unnecessary treatments. So that was very important. And I think that will lead us to work with our partners to, implement additional programming in, for example, the biomarker space so that patients understand that if they're not being offered that testing, that they really need to ask for it themselves and, follow through to make sure they understand, why that is so important. So that was one, I thought, very important finding. Another, which is, very unfortunate. And again, I don't know how much of a surprise it was, but again, whenever you hear it, you're like, oh no, you just wish we could make more of a change. But I think, diversity, equity, and inclusion, access to treatments for so many of our patient populations, we're still lacking in that area. And it's so sad to hear a patient say, I know these, treatments are out there, but I don't have access to them. I mean, it's heartbreaking to realize that, maybe a treatment could make a difference for a patient. And, like I said, they just don't have the access. So again, I think it's us working collaboratively, patient advocacy groups, obviously our patient and caregiver community, and also, our pharma industry corporate partners to really see what we can do, because in 2024 is just so sad to know that patients may not have access to life-saving treatments. I think one of the most important ways that we can, help meet the needs, for our gastrointestinal cancer community is really through collaboration. I don't think that any one organization, any one research center, any one pharmaceutical company can, kind of solve the problems. I do think it's going to take all of us working together and understanding that we can each bring something to the table. One of the things, like I said, in my years of advocacy and education and research, that always is so disheartening is when different groups are working on a similar project and reinventing that wheel. And you say, boy, resources are scarce. If we could, just maybe each take a portion and work on something so that nobody is recreating, what has already been done. And if we are, maybe just looking upon what's been done and then, just growing that, growing upon it. So I think the short answer is really collaboration and partnerships. And I think that's one of the things I love most about the GI Cancers Alliance is that we are a true alliance. We have over 100 advocacy groups globally that are a part of the alliance, and our partners. We work just as closely with our pharma partners and our corporate partners and our academic center partners, because again, we're stronger together. And being united in our efforts, I think will, ultimately help solve a lot of the problems and the unmet needs for our patients.